Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to How Much Does Deckard Cain Cost? It's basically a way of trying to find out how much he actually saves you rather than how much he costs. Because if you think about it, when he identifies anything, it ends up being, 100 gold instead of 80. But we're using Scrolls of Identify. We left off on 4,400 gold. We're not even halfway through Act 1. And if you're factoring about, I would say about 10,000 gold per act. But 50,000 gold, I mean, that's you resurrecting a mercenary. And again, that's just off of the materials that I'm either going to use, think I'll use. I'm not picking up and identifying every single thing, but I'm definitely identifying a lot. Bloodburn. Am I even going to use the leather armor? I have 2 socketed quilt armor. What does she have? Alright. Give me plus 80. Oops. Oh, 4480.
I'll put that to good use.
That was better than what she was wearing by 1 strength. Now, one thing I've noticed, and maybe it's just me, maybe I don't know, maybe it's just me picking up on something. I noticed that there are certain videos that don't really get a whole lot of traction. Now, I know that because I do unedited video content, it takes longer to get to the meat of the potatoes, so to speak. You know what I mean? And when it takes longer to get there, it's obviously going to lose people's interest. However, there's a plus and a minus to that, right? Yeah, it takes longer for me to get to good content that people want to see, but it also, in that length of time, it allows me to really sit down and show everybody, the whole adventure. You're not missing anything. Yeah, it takes time to pick up where I left off, but oh great, there's another one. Another 80 gold. Well, it's not even that good of a grand charm either. So I'll probably end up selling it. But it shows the whole process. I mean, that's one of the things that I've noticed about other YouTubers and other people like that. And it's nothing against the way they do their content. What if they want to do it by, chopping it up and editing it, fine. All for it. Knock yourself out. Once all of that's done, once you've basically chopped up your content and edited it and put a whole bunch of sound effects to it and you've seen all the editing tricks that every single person does. Does it lose the authenticity of the video? No. But it makes it feel like people wouldn't be interested in it, right? Like, for example, Raffle. Raffle plays Balatro, and I've watched him do a whole bunch of Balatro runs, right? Gold Stake Balatro. And when watching him do Gold Stake Balatro, I want to kind of understand his thought process. And I know that he's doing this while he's doing streaming. So he's actively on Twitch while he records it. So I understand the fact that he can't constantly do that because there's so much stuff that it would get kind of lost in the sauce, so to speak. So I get that. I get why he has the editing, right? But I would still love to see the unedited version of it so that I can see the thought process when he's picking his jokers and why he does what he does. Seeing that would kind of expand my thinking process when playing. And that's kind of why I do the unedited stuff here. I mean, yes, I try to... Well, there's another one. I'm gonna... Another plus 80. I mean, that's kind of the reason I like doing unedited. The other reason I like doing unedited is, A, I'm awful at editing. I can automatically say that guaranteed that I'm terrible at editing. So by not editing, it saves me time. I don't have to sit there and mull it over for like a week, 2 weeks, and then nitpick about what I'm putting in it. I could just grip it, rip it, and whatever happens, happens. And having that freedom of just, you just lay it all out there, and if it goes bad, it goes bad. Whatever. That's refreshing. At least to me. Now, it might not be to you, and, you know, to each their own, and if it's not refreshing to the people that are out there, okay, cool. I mean, I get that. I understand that completely. But there's something to be said for it. You know what I mean? There's something to be said for really allowing everybody to see every aspect that occurs. Every nuance. And there have been times where I've recorded something and I thought to myself, you know, should I have recorded that? And then I think to myself, you know what? Doesn't matter what I think. And it doesn't. I enjoy what I do, and I hope that others enjoy what I do as well. However, I do think we've gotten to a place as a society where people need to realize something. I think we're in a place as a society. Well, there's hard leather armor. I will be identifying that as well. I think we're in a place as a society where the kids that we told, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, those ones grew up and have now become insufferable. Lecturing us on morals. Lecturing us on everything. Not necessarily morals, but on everything. You shouldn't say this. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't... And they're the ones that are growing up to become Karens, and I'm going to talk to my manager. Well, you're not going to say anything bad to me, but you're going to go talk to my manager and, you know, treat me like filth. Cool, I guess, right? And that's just kind of how society has gone, and it's always the same group that has done it. I mean, I grew up with the group of people that were saying things along the lines of, like, I grew up with the whole group of people that was like, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And it's like, that's basically telling it's basically like telling people that it's better to lie to them than to be honest, right? Which isn't the truth. I'd rather somebody come up to me and be like, you're dog ugly and I don't like you. Okay, cool. Glad you got it off your chest. I could take that opinion in 15 cents and go get a cup of coffee, you know what I mean? It means it has no traction in my mind. If people don't like me, fine. At least they're leaving somebody else alone, right? And that's how I've kind of looked at it my entire life. Fast forward, and now you've got these people that have gotten older, and they've got kids of their own. And what are they doing? These people are going out and they're spoiling these children rotten. And when they spoil these children rotten, what happens? No pride of ownership. No pride at all in anything that has been created. They just, and they throw it away. They don't care. They don't care what it took to make. Because they could just go out and get another one off Temu or Shein or insert some third-party website for dirt cheap. They don't care. They value nothing. Because they were taught to value nothing. Those are the two most damaging things a parent can say to their kids. Well, not say to the kids. One is one they can say to their kids, and the other is one that they do. And the one is, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Because that basically just says, lie to their face so long as their feelings aren't hurt. No, just tell them the truth. If they can't handle it, it's a them problem, right? And the other thing is, when parents sit down and say, I want them to have everything I never had. Don't ever do that. Because what you're going to do is you're going to have the snottiest, most entitled, wretched brats growing up. Because everything is just handed to them on a silver platter. Make them work for it, Not just make them work for it. Make them think they're working for it, right? Make them think you can't afford it. And I've said this to multiple people. One of the people I said it to before he had kids took it to heart, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna try that, and he's trying it, and it's working. And that theory is this: artificial lack. Now, most people would sit there and go, well, what's artificial lack? It is as it is. You say, I can't afford that, or we can't afford that. You and your significant other, wife, whatever, as a parenting unit, say that to your children. We can't afford that. Reason being, up until they're 10, 11 years old or so, the value of money is just an analogous thing. They don't know how far a dollar goes. Now, you could teach them about the value of money early on, sure. 100%. Right? But by teaching them the value of money way early, when they're, kindergarten, first grade, what happens is you end up... I don't really need to identify those. By teaching them the value of money, yes, it makes them educated, and that's a great thing. But it also makes you lose the bargaining chip of saying, we can't afford that. Okay, well now I will identify those, because I don't need that extra identify scroll. 1 dexterity. The reason why that works. You save up money by telling them, because you know how kids will ask for things like toys in a store, or they'll ask for candy they probably shouldn't be eating because you don't want your kids all ramped up on sugar, right? I mean, I have a nephew, and when he gets ramped up on sugar, it's like, take a lap. Just go out, go jog around the house for a minute or two, right? But you don't want to lose that bargaining chip of saying, well, we can't afford it. The reason why you say you can't afford it is you basically know you can, but you're saving up for something. This is where it kicks in. I apologize for the cough. Not only does it give you the ability to save up money in case something occurs, rainy day fund, you hit you have a car accident, or you run into a deer or a bear or a wild hog, or somebody runs into you, something like that, or you get injured. Not that I want those things to happen to people, but accidents do occur. Life happens. Life is chaotic and random. So let's say something occurs and you don't have that rainy day fund. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, which is scary. When you have the rainy day fund, not only do you have money set aside in case things occur, right? But let's say nothing occurs, okay? Nothing occurs. You've been saving up all this money all this time. You then take your family on a nice vacation. Someplace that you know your entire family will enjoy. And then when the kids are like, but you said we couldn't afford this all throughout the year, you know? And when they're saying that, you go, and now you know why I couldn't afford those minor things throughout the year. I was saving up for this. Now that goes, oh, it teaches them to save. You're teaching them a skill of you have to save in order to get something. And by doing that, you're now getting them to understand the perspective of saving money is more important than spending it when you get it. This is a lesson that carries forward. That frugality will take them further in life than just spend money. And the reason being is simply because when you're frugal, you learn how to stretch a dollar. I have made, on multiple occasions, I have made biscuits and gravy. And the biscuits and gravy turned out delicious, right? And when I made those biscuits and gravy, my friend, I went over and I took some over to them. It was him and his girlfriend. They sat there, they dug right in, they tried it, and they're like, oh man, man, these biscuits are so soft. This gravy is so delicious. And they're just sitting there and they're inhaling this over and over and over. I said, yeah, that's that, this was back in the day. This was a while ago. I said, yeah, that's that 99-cent a tube ground turkey. It was turkey biscuits and gravy. And I put like poultry seasoning and other seasonings in it. And because it was at 99-cent a tube ground turkey, they were like, no way. They're like, that stuff is disgusting. And I said, but you just ate it. You said it was delicious. And they just kind of sat there and they were like, and I'm like, spice. Spices were the key. You spend more on spices than you do on ingredients. You could use the world's cheapest ingredients, and if you have enough spice, you can make it delicious. And so, that frugality was basically shining through and basically showing everybody, hey, you can live on the cheap and still eat well. And they started doing the exact same thing. They started going down through this rabbit hole of, hey, is there anything else I can make cheap that tastes good? And that frugality carried on and they started learning lessons. I eventually taught them how to build a campfire. Because they had a campfire going and it was weak. It sat there just... It was one of the weakest campfires I had seen in a long time. I walked over there and I said, well, you got a problem with your fire there. And they go, well, he's like, yeah, no, we need to put more wood on it. I said, no, let me see that. And so what did I do? I picked up, a piece of wood and, I was shuffling it around and I propped it up and I made airflow to get through it. They had the airflow going through so that it would actually burn properly. And when I had the airflow burning properly, just a second. When I had the airflow burning properly, um, it caught on like wildfire. Hold on, I got a text I have to respond to. Anyway, I had the airflow burning properly, and when it burned properly, it was great. Um, Copy this link. How do I copy this thing? This is why I hate the YouTube app. This is why I don't use the YouTube app. This is why I use um hold. This is annoying. I will have to find this on my thing. Well, there went that. This is the problem. My mother sent me a link that I have to forward on to somebody else, and in order to do that, I have to now actually do it through the Brave browser. That way I can actually copy the link up at the top. And it's taking me a while, so just bear with me, please. That's the one I'm looking for. There we go. I just really don't like the YouTube thing. I hate the YouTube app. So where was I? Reality. And my friend. Well, then they went on and they started really shopping more frugally, saving themselves money and being able to make better things, and it allowed them to save money. Frugality is not a bad thing. And it's not something that should be frowned upon, but yet everybody in today's society wants to frown upon it. Because it's like people have been hoodwinked into believing there's this, you have to have a large amount of money and you have to flaunt your money. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I make it successful and I make it above and beyond wealthy, not much is gonna change. I'm not gonna change my wardrobe because I already got it. I already got the wardrobe that I want. I'm not gonna change the wardrobe. I'm not really gonna change much of anything. Might start drinking higher grade coffee. Be about it. There's no need to go above and beyond. But truthfully. It just doesn't seem worth it. Like, you're gonna spend money on all this stuff that isn't really gonna help you. I know, people would be like, but wait, Quiz, you've got a PC, and that PC costs money, and etc. Yeah, 100%. It costs money. You wanna know what else it does? It's also an investment. I can potentially turn around and say that it makes me money. I mean, has it made me money yet? Not really. But it could. And that right there is the whole point. And that alone is exactly what I'm talking about. Is it could make me money. Is it a necessity to have a PC? No, it's not a necessity. It is a luxury. Necessities are quite simple. Food, water, oxygen. That's it. Those are your necessities. Now, of course, you're going to have those people out there. They're going to say, but wait, what about shelter? Ah. Aha.
I should take this to Charcy.
Shelter's not a necessity. It is a luxury. And people, of course, would like to nitpick this apart and say, well wait a minute. It is a necessity because without shelter, you will die. No. There are many people out there that are homeless that survive. They survive winters, they survive summers, they survive flooding, they survive tornadoes, they survive all types of weather, and they don't have shelter one bit. Not one bit. Now, they might use a community shelter, which, yes, that does count as shelter, I get it. But again, it is not a necessity. It becomes a luxury, quite literally a luxury. Whereas the other three, food, water, and oxygen, are indeed necessities. Without them, you perish, period. You don't just, be like, oh, well, I can live without oxygen. I can live without food and water. I mean, how far can somebody live without food and water? I think water, they said, is like 5 days. Food's like a month or so. Sleep, without sleep, it's like 11 days, and then you go crazy and your mind just kind of goes off and fritters away. So that's quite literally it, is, those are your three necessities. And there's a lot of luxuries in life. I think if people start reprioritizing their lives, people would be surprised by how much they can do without. Know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying people should just give up their worldly possessions or anything like that, but no, just like reprioritize your life. I had this discussion, matter of fact, on Twitter with somebody else. I said that all happiness comes from within. And it does. Every single bit of happiness that we need as a people all comes from deep down within ourselves. It's up to us to find it and bring it out. Find joy in the things you do. Find joy in the things in life. Find joy in the free and simple things that exist everywhere. Sunrise, sunset, clouds, rain even. There's joy to be found in rain, and everybody says, how can there be joy to be found in rain? Rain is this dumpy weather that makes people upset because it's not sunny. Without rain, and here comes the philosophy that everyone loves, without rain, sunny weather wouldn't feel so important. Nobody would prize sunny weather if it wasn't for bad weather. Now, let's go even one further. Rain is more beneficial than sunny weather. Yep, the sun is used for photosynthesis, but the rain is required to grow. Photosynthesis is the process by which you get oxygen. And it helps the plants grow better. Yes, some plants will still grow in the dark. Some plants require the sunlight, but you can also make artificial sunlight to grow the plants. See? So you can't make artificial water to make the plants grow. Think about it. And of course, I'm going to have people being like, well, wait a minute, what about the cloud seeding? Let's not go there. I mean, yes, I'm aware of weather modification projects. I'm aware of it. Have been aware of it for a long time. I understand where you're going with it. And it's just one of those things. It's like, yeah, I don't agree with the whole weather modification project kind of thing, but that's not really artificial water. That's prompting the water to rain. Not the same. Not entirely the same. It's different. But I get what they're going for. I'm just saying, you take a look at what exists, right? And when you take a look at what exists, I think people just need to realize that there comes a point in life when you have to grab emotions, almost like grab emotions by the horns. Know what I mean? And of course, people will be like, well, how exactly do you do that? Let me elaborate. If I was to go out there and let my emotions run rampant or run wild, and I was allowing them to beat me down and let the thoughts in my head get to me, which I don't even have those anymore. Those are gone. I mean, aside from the actual random thought, like, how best to tinker with nuclear fusion in a nuclear fusion reaction and to capture the plasma arcs. I don't want to go down that line of theoretical nuclear physics, but outside of those thoughts where I'm trying to think of a what-if scenario about using like a toroidal Mobius loop, but again, that's theoretical nuclear physics, let's not go down that road. I don't have those intrusive thoughts that tell people to behave a certain way or do this or do that. Don't have those at all. And I'm not saying that I'm a unique case. I'm saying I used to have those. I overcame those. And people can too. Everybody out there watching can too. Everybody out there can find the joy that resides within themselves and pull it out and use it and say, look, I'm happy every day. But I am. I'm happy every single day. And everybody, I've had people say that's because you're doing what you want to do. You have no obligations. Obligations do not dictate how you feel. Obligations dictate something you have to do. How you feel about it's how you feel about it. Think about it. Open your mind a little bit. Who controls your headspace? You do. You control your headspace. You want to win at everything you do? Win here first. If you win the battle for your headspace, you win the battle. Period. You win the battle. You win the battle in your headspace, you win. Because now you don't have those intrusive thoughts. They're gone. Why? You won the battle in the headspace. You're telling your mind how to think. You're telling your mind who's the boss. Not the other way around. And people say, well, wait a minute. How does that work? You have the heart, the mind, and the soul, right? And I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the game here just to really nail this point home. You have the heart, the mind, and the soul. Okay? The heart is how you feel outward toward other people. All right? Your heart goes out to them. That is what the heart is for. The heart is to reach out and connect. That's what that's for. The mind is to connect you, physical you, to spiritual you. Spiritual you is really you. Spiritual you tells mental you how to behave. You want to be happy? Listen to the soul. Listen to the soul deep within yourself. Find that spiritual connection with yourself. Find that monologue. Find that inner self, and have that inner self tell your mind who's boss. Because the soul is boss. And why is the soul boss? You ready for this one? This is gonna blow your mind. The soul is boss because let's say the heart stops. When the heart stops, the brain no longer gets blood. The mind stops. The soul continues on. Whether it traverses to the afterlife and becomes one with the ether, or whether it comes back down and reincarnates, the soul travels on. Onward to the next journey. The mind stops. The heart stops. So who's the real boss? The soul, the heart, or the mind? Soul is. And when the soul is the real boss and you let your soul be you, you sit there and you go, you know what? My soul is me. I am my soul. The rest is just a shell. It's a meat puppet. It's a giant meat puppet. The soul is doing nothing but operating a meat puppet. Now, here's the fun part for those people that are like, yeah, well, I don't like the meat puppet that it is. How could you hate it? Your soul chose that meat puppet. Think about it. The soul that came down and chose this meat puppet chose it for a reason. Because it liked this meat puppet. And because the soul likes this meat puppet, I do too. And we need to get beyond looking at aesthetics. We need to get beyond looking at physical. Move. Make that shift. Make a lateral shift to looking at the spiritual. Find people you can resonate with that resonate with you. Because when resonance and when harmonious frequencies resonate off one another, the world becomes a better place. And I don't just mean it as in like, hippy dippy, grab your brother, man, and go out and enjoy some, music. Yeah, man. Ooh, I'm gonna identify that one. I'm not talking that. I'm not talking the whole hippy dippy. I gotta go back to town. I'm not talking the whole, hippy dippy sort of thing. Not at all. I'm talking when two people truly connect. You look at them and they look at you, and when you're looking at each other, the thought comes into your head and you're like, I know this person. I know this person. I know what they're going to say. I know how they feel. I know what they're going through. I know. Because I just know. And when you do, and you do feel that, and you do know, you truly connect to them. Only then can you truly help them with what they're going through. And that's not even the highest form of altruism yet. I'm gonna chat about that highest form of altruism right before I sign off, because I made it to jail level 1 waypoint, and then we'll just pick it up from there next time. But the highest form of altruism is quite interesting. Ooh, I'm gonna ID that. Yeah, I'm gonna ID that one. Even though it's ethereal, I still want to ID it. Cannot be repaired. Attacker takes damage of 1. I'll go back to town. So the highest form of altruism is going out and helping somebody. Doesn't matter who. Okay? But you don't boast about it, and you don't let anyone know you've done anything at all. You don't say a word. You don't accept rewards, accolades, nothing. You do it, and then you just sit there. That's the highest form of altruism. Because you're giving of yourself, wanting nothing, seeking nothing, saying nothing. It was said in Futurama. When you've done something right, everyone around you will think you've done nothing at all. That's when you know you've done something right. But that is where we're going to leave this video. We are 4,960 gold spent. And we are almost done. I mean, we have the waypoint for jail level 1. We have the inner cloister and catacombs left to go, and then we've done Andariel, and that'll be the calling it for Act 1. But it is also on Player's 8, so it does take a little bit longer. But it's kind of what it is. At any rate, I hope everybody has enjoyed this video. I hope everybody can sit here and really take a look at all the stuff I've talked about and take some of it to heart and realize, wait a minute, who's really running the meat puppet? It's time to let your soul speak. It's time to listen. Listen to your soul. Listen to your soul speaking. And when your soul says, hey, it's time to get the head in line and start living with joy, that's when you know. Because everybody can be happy every single day. It's up to you. I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow. Find that inner joy and pull it out of you and use it every single day, because it is there, it is endless, and it's free. And as always, have a good one.